What's up guys, it's me Jeremy, and welcome to my video on common mistakes and how to fix them. I've compiled a list of 7 mistakes that I find people make a lot and are very detrimental to a team's play. It's possible that there are more that I've missed, but I feel that these 7 are a very solid list. So let's get started. The first mistake people make very often is overextending. This is where you push too far out and get caught from either a gank or simply just an initiation. If this is a major mistake that you make, what you need to do to fix it is increase your overall map awareness. Buy some more wards and expect ganks to come. Don't push out unless you have teammates with you. By expecting ganks, you will play more safely when you are pushed up really far, and thus be ready for those ganks that are inevitable, and then be able to live. The second mistake that people make a lot is staying too long. They win a fight, take objectives, and somehow manage to stick around for the enemy team to respawn and come back to kill them. Be aware of when your opponents are coming back by timing their movements. Always overestimate the timing. That way you will always be safe. Good estimates to use would be about 6 seconds with home guard to get to the inner towers and about 25 seconds or so to get from the base back to lane. And remember that it's okay to back. It's very risky to stay in lane for a long time when you're low, unless your opponent is low as well, and even then it's still a little risky. Know your limits and just be willing to back and lose out on a few CS, because it is well worth avoiding the death. The third mistake people make frequently is not fighting 5v5. You have a teammate missing for whatever reason, and people don't notice and they fight 4v5. This can simply be fixed by always checking your minimap before a fight, but most often what happens is that you get engaged on 4v5. Getting engaged on is almost always the worst way to fight, and even more so when it's 4v5, so you just need to back off and play safe. Even if you have to forfeit objectives, fighting 4v5 unless you have a significant advantage, or you have something such as a tower to help you in the fight, is always a bad idea, as the fight will likely cost you much more than just giving up the objective. Avoid the engage simply by playing safe until your last teammate can arrive. In correlation with the last one, the fourth mistake that people make is trying to take objectives when you should be elsewhere. This is probably the one that bothers me the most. People take an inhibitor when their team is left to fight 4v5, which they would have easily won if you were there, and then the enemy team just pushes for game. If you would have been at the fight, you would have aced the enemy team and then gone on to kill the Nexus right afterwards or whatever objective you were taking. Once it reaches the late game, there is nothing more important than winning a team fight. Most objectives, especially Dragon, becomes pretty much completely useless at that point. Past 40 minutes or so, a clean ace will pretty much result in a push down mid for a victory for that team. And if it doesn't, you can take any objective that you wanted oh so badly in the first place. Show up to team fights, because your team cannot avoid an initiate forever, and they will just end up losing. Be aware of what is going on in the map, and when it looks like a fight might start soon, and show up immediately. The fifth mistake that people make a lot is dying for free in an attempt to save an objective, mainly towers. When the enemy team has 4 people pushing down a tower, unless you have massive wave clear, they can really just ignore you or dive you and come out with a kill and the objective. When the opponents are in control and there's nothing you can do to stop them, you need to realize this and back off. So many people die trying to save the tower, often resulting in the enemy team taking 2 towers instead of just 1, or at the very least, a kill and a tower. It's not that hard to just look at the tower's HP and hold it for as long as possible, but give up and back off when it gets really low. Be aware of your opponent's strengths and just be willing to give up something that is already lost. The sixth mistake that people make a lot is dying to save others. If your teammate gets caught, just let him die. There's no reason for you to die trying to save a lost cause, just like the objectives. You need to be aware of your opponent's engaged potential. If you know how easily they will be able to get to you if you try to save your friend, you should think twice, because 2 deaths or more is a whole lot worse than just 1. By knowing your limits and the potential of everyone, you should be able to judge whether or not you can save your friend. If you're the one getting caught out, just ping your team to back if there's no chance of you being saved to help prevent your teammates from making this mistake as well. The final mistake that I've come up with that people make a lot is diving in a team fight. Unless you have a team composition based around it, diving in team fights is almost always a terrible idea unless the enemy carries are out of position. You simply just jump in and get bursted instantly, and maybe if you're lucky you take down a target or 2, but most of the time the enemy team will just 5v1 you while your team is struggling to catch up because you jumped in so far away from them because they actually had decent positioning. Instead, wait for the initiation and either protect your carries and only dive in if you are extremely tanky and are sure that you won't die fast. And if you do dive in, make sure your team can follow you up at the very least by being aware of their positioning. So, as I wrap this up, I want to make a mention of a key concept. If you haven't noticed already, a major part of fixing almost all of these mistakes is improving your map awareness by buying wards, or really just paying attention to what everyone on both sides of the game is doing. If you can improve your map awareness, you should significantly decrease the amount of mistakes that you are making. So that's it for my video on common mistakes. I'd love it if you could support me with a like or some feedback in the comments, and if you have any questions, I would absolutely love to see you in the comments too. Please subscribe for more awesome content in the future if you enjoyed this video, and I would love it if you could follow me on Facebook or Twitter, of which I will have links in the description. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.